ladies and gentlemen. It's your boys. Yeah, I'm switching it up. Welcome to Paperwork Podcast with your boys, Respass, Peach, and Walt. Peach isn't here. That's the new intro now, just to full disclosure.
It should just start being like with Respass and Walt.
Nah, I could bleep it out in post.
You should.
That'd be I like leaving the awkwardness in there. It's funny, but it's the Good Friday edition of Paperwork Podcast.
It's a very good Friday.
Yes, it is a Good Friday. I was gonna make a joke about we're really gonna nail it on this one or something like that, but I don't know if it's appropriate.
No.
What? Come on, you. Is that all you got?
Yeah,
No.
I'm not touching that.
All right, fair enough. All right, so
I was gonna make that worse. I was gonna say I'm not touching that with a 12-foot cross.
Oh my God! Come on now. Oh, it's another early morning recording. If you can't tell by,
it's always either early morning or a very late night after drinking. It's one or the other.
Or an early morning after a late night of drinking.
Yes.
That's the one thing we can be consistent with here on Paperwork Podcast. So Respass, how you doing today?
I am fantastic.
That is great to hear.
Yes.
I'm doing all right. A little tired, a little sore, but we'll make it through.
Hot out.
I don't even know, how hot is it out?
Well, I had pants and a heavy hoodie on, and it was 65, I think.
Oh, well, I was gonna say let's turn this into a weather podcast. Right now it's 67. God damn, that is hot.
Yeah.
Oh man, I might go sit on the porch. Oh, it might be a good day to drink on the porch. Some porch drinking.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I know, talking nothing wrestling, but just trying to throw some casual conversation in there, force casual conversation. So
transition porch drinking into the topic for the day.
I got nothing. It's too early for this. The transition will be, you could talk about the topic today since you threw it out there.
Yeah, that's not unusual.
I know.
So I know we're 7 weeks removed from WrestleMania, and we're still kind of tying it in with it.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. It felt like it went on for 2 weeks itself. But to tie in with the historic main event of WrestleMania, with the women, the first ever women's main event, I figured we could go with the women's Mount Rushmore, since we already did this episode, and it wasn't necessarily a men's Mount Rushmore, but it kind of turned into it because there's way too many men to go through, and no offense to the women, but when you got to cut down to 4, it makes it hard to put any of them in there. I think we even said we tried. Like, we came up with 7 different Mount Rushmores each, and we tried to somehow squeeze a woman onto it, but it's tough with the amount of men wrestlers there is in history.
Yeah, I'm actually going to look through now because I did not look at the other Mount Rushmore list that I put together.
Right.
But I want to see if I actually tried to make a women's Mount Rushmore list for that. I did. I actually did.
I think I got rid of my notes for that, but I think I also did.
Yeah,
I know I tried to fit. There was 2 specific women I tried to fit onto a Mount Rushmore, and they didn't cut my top 20, so I just left them off. But yeah. So is that? Are you going to compare your old list and this list? Is that?
Yes, my old list has some, but I have changed it.
Okay.
A little bit.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go. That's the topic for the week.
So
in case you didn't get it from the subject when you clicked on this week's episode,
or you downloaded it,
yeah, or if you're reading the transcription.
Oh, I thought you were saying. I thought you were still saying something.
I wasn't sure if you were paying attention, and I realized you weren't.
This is a banner of an episode.
We don't transcribe this. If you're looking for it, yeah, that don't happen. Walton could do it for you though if you want. He's got time.
Yeah, Yeah, I got plenty of time to do that.
This is going well.
Oh, it's
this
going
episode is already off
terrible.
to a smashing start.
This might be one of our best ones without PG.
Yeah.
So, I was gonna try to like intro it more so before we start talking about the actual like our Mount Rushmores. Did we want to touch with last week the reactions to the weekend? Like we were kind of rushed through that because just time constraints for both of us to do it. Was there anything more you wanted to touch on the women's main event? Because, like you said, that's kind of where we drew inspiration from, or at least you drew inspiration from the idea.
Yeah.
I
think I got a lot what I wanted to say about it, Al. It was a good match, which could have been a great match to finish. Kind of ruined it, and it sucks. It sucks because I hope that does not deter them from doing it again. I'm half and half on it. I'm trying to make this not sound sexist because it's not meant to be. I hope they don't do it again next year just to force it again next year. I
wholeheartedly agree. I think
if it makes sense on the card, if there is a match that they feel like is deserving of it, I don't mind it. But I don't want them to force another women's main event on us. Or hell, once out of every 3 years. I don't want it to be forced. I want it to make sense.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing we actually both said about this main event, that it was forced, but it wasn't forced. Because it felt right, like the right story main event at WrestleMania this year, and it just so happened to be women.
The story. The funny thing is, the storyline felt forced. They could have done almost what they did with Triple H and Batista. You know what they've done in the past with storylines, where it's not much of a storyline. That triple threat made sense without Becky getting shit on the whole time, stuff like that. The biggest problem with the storyline was Kofi's storyline was eerily similar. And it kind of took away from the women's storyline. You know, Becky and Kofi were both being screwed. Becky got replaced, Kofi got replaced. You know what I mean? Like it was like the same storyline. One happened on Raw, one happened on SmackDown. It was the same thing. Vince McMahon picked Charlotte. Vince McMahon picked Kevin Owens. Like it was the same storyline.
True.
And it sucked because Becky and Ronda had that build up. It was a wonderful, and some of it happened by accident, but it was a wonderful build up to their it was Survivor Series match, right? Was it Survivor Series?
Yes, it was Survivor Series.
Yeah, it was such a wonderful build up. And then hell, even with Charlotte getting disqualified and stuff, it had its built-in storyline of it becoming a triple threat. And I felt like they forced the storyline around something that didn't need it. It makes sense to everybody, fans and non-fans alike. Ronda Rousey's a huge name. She's the star attraction that's going to bring people outside of wrestling. Charlotte Flair is the person who's going to bring the old school fans who love Ric Flair, and Becky Lynch is going to keep the interest of the new fans that see her as the female Stone Cold. You know, like it was built in. They did not need to do all the other fluff around it that they did. So I felt like it took away from it a little bit more than it could have been. But overall, it was good. I think we both kind of agreed it was the best actual main event of WrestleMania in a long time.
Well, in a few years, because I think
and that's a long time. I mean, WrestleMania is supposed to be their best of the best shows. They should be ending it with their best, if not one of their best matches of the night.
Yeah, I think when you compare it to a Wrestle Kingdom, and every year that main event, what was it? Tanahashi Omega didn't live up to the previous year's main event of Naito versus Okada. Mm-hmm. And it's that those are high bars to set. Like they said,
yeah, but that's the thing is, and now I did not watch this last Wrestle Kingdom, but was it still one of the best matches on the card?
Oh yes.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
When your WrestleMania main event is not in the top 3 of the best matches or top 4 of the best matches on the card, and I know there's 27 matches, so it's hard to get to that top. But when it's not at the top couple, it takes away from it. So you're not comparing it to previous years. You're comparing it to that card itself. So the main event should always kind of overshadow the rest of the card, and it hasn't for at least a couple years, which is a lifetime when it comes to something that's supposed to be that big of a spectacle.
Yep. So, but I think, you touched on a lot of it in probably more detail than I'll give, but it was a great, like, it's what exactly it needed to be. I agree. I don't want a women's main event. Like, and again, that's my biggest takeaway with this main event was it wasn't forced on us. Like it all made sense in the storyline. Like we are now past the point of this whole women's evolution to where we just need to put these people in the matches in the main event to say, oh, we're pushing women forward.
Yeah.
They're on the very same playing field. The only thing is, and this is I think they just need their own show, honestly. Because
I would agree. As much as it sucks to say, I kind of agree.
Because there's so many women that they're not all getting the correct time. There was a while on, I think it was SmackDown, that there were like 3 different women's stories going on to where like the women were like in 3 segments on a 2-hour SmackDown, and there was only like 7 wrestlers or something like that. And each storyline was it was interesting. I want to say it was like maybe Becky and Carmella for the title, or I forget who it was. It was like right after SmackDown split from like they did the draft, right. And like they had like 3 different storylines as women, but there's so many wrestlers, and this is across the board.
Yeah,
like how WWE did it with the cruiserweights, pulled them off on their own show.
And that's I would kind of go a little bit further and say you can keep the main storylines on Raw and SmackDown, but the secondary storylines that's kind of taken away, that's not getting enough build, should have its own show, almost like a women's superstars or whatever the hell they have now. Like 205 Live when it at the beginning.
Exactly.
When their main match was, you had 1 or 2 matches on Raw, and that was it. It was your main storylines, and then you got the other guys some time on 205 Live. That's what they need. They need to get the Riot Squad a little bit of build up.
Dude, they broke up the Riot Squad.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so upset about that. That was like just a damn good group. Like when they came, and it was them and Absolution came, and I was just like, Riot Squad makes a little more sense, honestly, than like with Absolution. Even though I was a little bit confused because it's like I don't see a Ruby Riott hanging with a Liv Morgan and then like a Sarah Lou, like 3 different personalities, but they blended so well and they worked so well together. I was really upset that
they grew over time too. Like you could see, see like the whole Liv Morgan kind of becoming what's her face, Harley Quinn.
Oh, okay.
Like she kind of developed into that. Like at the very beginning, she was like this clean cut. Like you said, it almost didn't make complete sense at the very beginning. And then I think, she started to kind of get that. And then
and the cool thing too is did you hear about the tattoos they got?
No.
All 3 of them got a tattoo.
Oh, was it the date?
The date of their debut as the Riot Squad. And I'm just like, man, you hate to see stuff like that. Like, I do, just because it's like, they care.
Well, Riot Squad and Sanity.
Sanity's disappointing, but those, like, they weren't doing it really.
We did get the Viking experience, though.
Don't fucking get me started. Do not get me goddamn started. Oh, my God. Oh my God! Dude, obviously we're talking about women and stuff, but I'm watching Raw. I'm watching Raw during that shakeup, and I hear the music, and I'm like, "Wait, is that War Machine?" And I still call him War Machine because I'm a fucking mark, whatever. But then I'm just like, I'm reading the thing and it says like the Vikings, and I'm just like, what the like? I was like, I don't remember this being on their Tron in NXT. Like, what? Is this the same team? Like, is this, or did they give this music to somebody else? They come out, I'm like, oh, they're calling up War Raiders, awesome. And then along the bottom, it's like the Viking. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm just like, oh my god, like that is a terrible. And then they actually like, and okay, all right, fine. They changed their names from War Raiders to Viking Experience. One, they're still your NXT Tag Team Champions, so okay, that makes sense. Two, so I'm like, all right, like. And then I'm like, all right, Hanson and Rowe. And it's like Igor and Eric. I'm like, oh my, so
it's
mad.
It's because Hanson and Rowe do not sound Viking enough.
I know, but it just, I was so mad when that.
It's so bad. So bad.
Like that was terrible.
Okay, I'll get back on
sorry.
here a little bit.
Sorry, I think everyone probably listening that saw that probably feel the same way. So.
Yeah, I felt like it needed to be said, even though it's not on topic.
Yeah. So that's where, like you said, like the women's. I don't expect a women's main event next year.
No. I would love a slow build to if they can keep Becky on top, which I think they're going to oversaturate us with the way people are nowadays. I hope they don't give us too much Becky, if it makes sense. I know they're trying to right now she's the hottest thing they have, so they almost have to. You know what I mean? I just hope they don't make it overkill.
Yeah,
I love the her and Lacey Evans thing, though. I think it's a perfect way to set up Lacey Evans. It sucks because Lacey Evans was my second favorite NXT women wrestler. They were both heels, and I would love for the other one to be up there right now. But you know what? Lacey Evans does not need to go over in this situation. She could still look good without beating Becky Lynch, and you're not giving the same old Charlotte Becky Lynch.
So Lacey Evans on Reddit, I don't know if you saw this, but there was I think it was like just a random user or something did a Twitter thread of Lacey Evans as trash cans.
Yeah, I did see that.
Oh my god, it is one of the funniest things I looked at. It's basically all the different outfits Lacey Evans wore next to a similarly colored trash can in the exact same design. It's fucking hilarious. So the state of women's wrestling is in a good spot.
Yeah.
I think we are kind of past the point of let's force the revolution down our throat, and it's now just part of it.
Right. That's actually, we kind of got off topic, and I really quickly want to say this. The next step is, there is a next step. There was 2 women's matches out of the 16, 3 if you count the Battle Royal. 3 women's matches on the whole card.
Yes.
And that's the next thing, is we need to see a couple women's singles matches on the card.
I agree. But and again, I think there's just the biggest thing with it is we have to make sure the storyline kind of makes sense for it. Like, because I don't want to just... Yeah. But I think I definitely...
Yeah, I think they lost an opportunity with building an Asuka feud leading up to it by not building an Asuka feud and just kind of taking the title away. You really just needed one more match. That's all you really needed. You had the tag titles. You had the 3 championship matches, and that was fine. Yeah. You don't need another side one, but you have the 3 championships in the Battle Royal. I felt like it was missing about 1, maybe 2 more women's matches as a whole.
That's the one thing that I think the women's divisions always suffer from is you don't really get individual storylines except if they're not
surrounding titles.
That's not surrounded by the title. They try to, but they like the one I got annoyed with it was the whole Mandy Rose Naomi one.
Right.
Like I liked it, but I didn't like it because I just hate like that. It's like trying to persuade whatever, I forget which Uso she's with or something like that in the hotel room. But I still like how it played out because it wasn't too bad like that. But then you saw the same thing with Lana, and then with when it was like Rusev and Enzo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's I want to try to get away from that and like just get more storylines that don't seem catty, if that makes sense.
And Ruby Riott and Natty.
Yeah, exactly.
Their storyline was, and I realized that Natty's, Jim Neville and I had to die in order for that storyline to further the way it did. Hell, I think it even started based on that. But they have so much talent right now in the women's division that they can hold a storyline not surrounding the title. They've built up enough, and who the hell knows what's happening with Sasha Banks right now. But between Sasha, Bayley, Charlotte, Becky, Alexa Bliss, Ruby Riott, Lacey Evans, hell, even Natty, you have Nia Jax. You have enough that can kind of hold a storyline.
Exactly.
Where it doesn't need to be around. And Asuka, Shayna Baszler is eventually going to come up and get thrust right into this whole mix of them.
I realize we've been saying Shayna Baszler is going to come up for like the last
that's
8
what
months.
I'm saying. You know what's funny is I almost want them to leave her down there now. Because if Rousey never comes back, she can become that force that Rousey was. And I know she doesn't have the namesake that Rousey does, but she can almost come up and be what you wanted Asuka to be. That dominant force just coming up and just fucking kicking ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hell, even Nia Jax. You kind of wanted Nia Jax to be that. You just want her to come up and just be a natural badass, and she gets booed.
Yes.
She is good in the ring. She's good at what she does, and she gets booed, and that's always a plus. That's what I loved about Ciampa down at NXT. Fans cheer him and then want to boo him all at the same time, and that's what Baszler gets. Baszler gets that you respect her, but you still boo her, and that's what makes a good heel. So I'm excited for her to come up, but now as much as I've been begging and begging and begging. If Rousey is going to be gone, and she might come back, who knows? I'd love for them to slow play it a little bit more, especially now with Lacey kind of taking a heel spot away.
Yeah. So let's transition over to the Mount Rushmore. I do like, even though that's not the exact topic, but I like the conversation beforehand. Helps set up for it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back, so I'll go a little bit first here just because I have it. So the Mount Rushmore that I put together that I am not a fan of anymore, and I think I remember I was just throwing it together of...
Is this the original one or the one that you set up for this episode?
The original one.
Okay.
It was Trish, Lita, Charlotte, and Sasha. The Mount Rushmore. And I don't know what I was thinking back then. But it is not anywhere near.
And I'm a Sasha Banks fan. I have 2 lists, and she's not on either one of them.
But that was the one I think I kind of quickly put that together at the end just to because I remember I was making a bunch of the Mount Rushmores was tag teams, best wrestlers, my favorites, and then the overall.
Yeah.
So, but I'll let you go first. I went first with that, but go with your actual one.
All right. Well, this is who I believe should be it. I do have a personal one, and then now that I'm just thinking about it, I do have a third one that's kind of current. We'll say a current Mount Rushmore, a current wrestler Mount Rushmore, but who I believe should be it. I have Trish Stratus, Lita.
Okay.
China and Medusa, or Alundra Blaze, whoever you want to call her.
Ah, okay.
I'll get into detail, but I'll start with her, Alundra Blaze, Medusa. She's probably I try to stay away from female managers because I wanted this to kind of be a women's wrestling and not women of wrestling, if that makes sense.
Yep, that makes perfect sense.
As much as I wanted to, you could put Sable and Sunny and stuff like that. They're not women wrestlers, but Medusa was. And one of the famous things about Alundra Blaze Medusa that I still remember to this day, and I remember watching it when it happened, was when she made that switch over to WCW and she threw the women's title in the trash can on Nitro. And it's one of those things where women's wrestling then was not what it is now. Women's wrestling has never been what it is now. I'm not saying there wasn't talent, but it's just never been what it is today.
Yes.
But she is somebody I feel like that could have fit with what's happening right now, if that makes sense. I think she was obviously way before her time. She was not a freak of nature woman like Chyna was,
yes.
But yeah, I think she was the face of women's wrestling, I think, for a while. And for anybody who might get upset that I left certain women off, I did the same thing with the men's one. I tried to go off of guys that I actually seen wrestle. I don't want to go with Fabulous Moolah or anything like that. Like, I don't want to go far back with people I've never seen wrestle before.
Yep.
So it's just to kind of throw that out there. Chyna, I think, self-explanatory. I mean, she's the what was it? The
Ninth Wonder of the World.
Ninth Wonder of the World. Yeah, I don't know why I want to say eighth. Ninth Wonder of the World. She's a member of one of the most historic groups of all time, DX.
I am disappointed with her Hall of Fame that she did not get her own first.
Yeah, and I think she will now. I think they put her in with DX first.
Yes.
I do think she'll get it, and it sucks. It's just like anybody else. Like Jim the Anvil Neidhart got put in. I know it wasn't by himself, but he got put in after the fact. It sucks when
here's the thing, and this is the truth. Away. Like I have more of appreciation now for Chyna after she passed away than while she was necessarily alive. Yeah, and like it's shitty to say, but just to be like kind of honest, like I didn't realize like what. Because, like, after she passed away, you kind of go back and you see the history of what she did, and, like, now it's just like, wow, man, like, that it was cutting edge. Like, it was very, like, it was unique, it was different, it was fun, like, it was incredible, and, like, I didn't really appreciate that until she died.
Yeah, like, and I think her doing what she did, it opened the door for an Awesome Kong, for Beth Phoenix, for Nia Jax. You know what I mean? Like kind of, especially in the WWE arena, it opened the door for and Beth Phoenix. No offense to Awesome Kong or Nia Jax, but Beth Phoenix is kind of half and half. She's the blonde, like, good-looking girl, but she's also she's fit, so she's a little half and half. But Nia Jax and Awesome Kong, who knows? You got the old time women wrestlers that were kind of viewed as, who was it, that Bertha or whatever. I don't know if you remember way back when there was like a really heavy set woman in their women's division. I forget. That probably isn't even her name. But it was during the cartoonish storylines, and it was meant more as a joke than it was as like, oh, she's this dominant woman. So, I mean, she did so much for women's wrestling as far as, making it okay to throw a Beth Phoenix or a Nia Jax in the men's Royal Rumble, stuff like that, she's still the only one to hold a men's title, right? Yeah,
I think 2-time Intercontinental Champion, I believe.
Possibly.
I think so. I want to look that up, but I believe 2-time Intercontinental Champion. She won her first title. Do you remember the match stipulation? And against who?
Was it Eddie Guerrero?
No, I believe. But I'm going to confirm this as well. I believe it was against Jeff Jarrett in a Good Housekeeping match.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to look at.
It was around the Eddie Guerrero time, though, right? Wasn't it? It was like in that vicinity. I'm saying
that was after
with Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, it was after Eddie Guerrero. Or this was the IC title was before her partnering with Eddie Guerrero.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me. You keep talking.
While you look at that, and I think Trish Stratus and Lita is even. I mean, they've probably done the most for what women's wrestling is right now. You know, with the mix of looking good and also being able to compete in the ring. You know, again, it's the same deal where they were all viewed as divas, and hell, they were both in bra and panties matches. It's not like they weren't in those type of matches. I think they had one against each other that I could remember.
But they're also the first two that headlined a Raw.
Yeah, and that's like they kind of showed that they can be a. I think they probably had a lot to do with the females now wanting to be wrestlers as kids, you know, to show that you can be good looking and not just flaunt it out there, that you actually can compete in the ring, that you actually can do athletic maneuvers. You know, Lita did stuff that women just didn't do, that hell half the men didn't do, that now has become so, you know, we've almost become immune to some of the athletic maneuvers that guys can do nowadays, that she was able to do stuff off the top rope that half the guys probably wouldn't even dare have done back then. I hate to lump them both together, but I think they have to be lumped together. I mean, with good reason, but they made, like you said, they were the first ones to main event Monday Night Raw. They made what happened at WrestleMania probably just as possible as anybody else over the process, purely because I feel like little girls seen them wrestle and knew that's what they wanted to do.
Yep, I agree.
So I don't know if you want to go with your
I'll go with
my
little bit similar, but not actually 2 and 2.
Okay.
So I went China and Trish.
All right.
China again, like much of my appreciation now for China has come after the fact. Mm-hmm. It's shitty to say, but it's the truth. I'm not gonna like sit here and lie about it. But like realizing what she did, like you said, Intercontinental Champion, 2-time. She is a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. Only won the women's title once, because I remember reading after the fact she didn't want to wrestle women because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
She then, first woman in the Royal Rumble, number 30. I remember they won a DX Battle Royal, like a DX Corporation Battle Royal. I think that was the Rumble Austin one, or no, that might have been the Rumble McMahon one, actually. Okay. Before the build up to WrestleMania 15. I forget which one. Trish Stratus, obviously, like, so the one thing, like Trish helped put women's wrestling on the map in that age, but what it also did was it made WWE women's wrestling take a hit, because WWE thought that we can get models and train them to be wrestlers, and that's what helped in my mind help incorporate the diva era.
Right.
To where it was like, let's just try to bring in all these models, teach them how to wrestle, but then none of them lived up to what Trish was able to do.
Yeah, and that kind of goes along with what I said with younger girls seeing Trish. It took that diva era to get to the girls that watch Trish finally get of age to be there, and of ability
was
to kind of get there.
Because you see that, like, I think, like, Bailey was out there. I think Bailey has pictures with Lita. Or no, it's AJ Lee. Never mind. Yeah. That's the one I laugh about.
Yeah.
But like you saw that, like, Lita was more of the workhorse. Trish was more of the focal point. Like in my original one, like I put like my ultimate Mount Rushmore was Hogan, and you can have a debate Hogan or Flair. Yeah. Hogan, I think Trish and Lita are in the same boat as those two. Hogan is the face, Flair is the workhorse. I think, in my opinion, Trish was more of the face, Lita was more of the workhorse because of her athletic ability.
Yeah, Lita showed that women could be wrestlers.
Yes.
And Trish showed that you can develop wrestling ability, if that makes any sense. Like, it kind of went both ways, where it didn't have to be Sable walking out there doing a hip toss and everybody going nuts because they didn't think that she could do that. You know what I mean? It hired up the standard of what you wanted a woman wrestler to be.
See, and it's funny too, like, talking about this, like, you're making me want to change my next pick. But, like, I feel like, because, like, this is one of the names that kept on coming to my head. I put Sable up there.
Yeah. No, she was almost on mine. She was probably, I had 6 and she was there, and I cut her off for the reasons I've said, but
because she's like she was a face. Like, was she a great wrestler? No.
Nah.
But she also did a lot for. Plus, she's married to Brock, so I'm scared there. If I don't include her, he's gonna come kill me. But I do love that they are not using her at all in any of his storylines, which is great. Yeah. But I feel like the impact, like, she had on so many people. Like, she was in WrestleMania 15. She wrestled for the title against Tori. No, it was just Tori, not Tori Wilson. It was that, I don't know who it was. It was the Tori that was, like, dating Kane.
The one that wasn't she in? She was with Kane and X-Pac.
Yeah, something like that. And then brought in Nicole Bass as well. Like, I just feel like that impact, like, the hot blonde model, like, she had such an impact there.
She was essentially one of the faces of WWE. She was probably, she proved that a woman could
make it in the company.
Yeah. She was probably better known than most other guys were, you know, to casual fans. They knew who Sable was, and there are other reasons,
obviously,
why. But she's still.
It's funny. It's funny doing an episode like. I was gonna say, it's funny doing an episode like this where I'm not trying to talk creepy. For reference, I did not have the Playboy. They had, like, TV Guide covers, and I had a copy of that.
Back then I was on the internet pre AOL days, I think, and I spent 10 minutes for each image I found somewhere to get them.
Was this Two Jerks in a Jew Bag?
Probably
time frame.
Nice. Way back then.
That was Mike's old band.
Yeah. I had them on a floppy disk.
Oh God! Did I give you that floppy disk?
No.
Okay.
My mom had them for work. Me and her were the only ones that used the computer, and I'm pretty sure she found them at some point. Because I thought I was clever hiding it, like, under a different title, and I'm sure she probably seen them.
Oh man, growing up. All right, so let's. But here's the thing, like, that's what Sable was known for. That's what Sable was going for, and she is a face of the women's wrestling at that time. Yeah. And then the last one is Charlotte. I think Charlotte has done. Yes, I know it also has to do with the name factor, but she has done more for actual women's wrestling than I think anyone. It's, to me, Charlotte and Trish, like, this is going to sound weird, and it's the LeBron Jordan debate. Like, in my mind, LeBron is a better basketball player than Jordan, but Jordan evolved the game way more than LeBron has ever, especially at the time he was playing. Charlotte, I think, is a better wrestler than Trish, a better wrestler than Trish was ever or will ever be. But Trish did more to change the game in the time she was wrestling than possibly Charlotte has, of right now.
I would tend to agree.
That's my opinion with LeBron and Jordan.
Yeah.
But I kind of put them.
Would be no LeBron if it wasn't for Jordan. Just like there probably.
But there would not be a
Charlotte without Trish.
But if LeBron was playing at the time Jordan was, you wouldn't have a Jordan, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
debatable.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Back then, science wasn't the way it is. Guys didn't train from 6 years old, and that's the same thing. Charlotte is training in a way that Trish never did.
Exactly. But, like, and it's like, to hear Charlotte, like, she never wanted to get into the industry. Like, this is where you have some, not exactly similar, but, like Charlotte never planned to get into it. She got into it because her brother died. Trish got into it being a model, but then transformed into a wrestler. Charlotte trained and transformed, and like Charlotte just grabbed it by the balls and just went with it, and is absolutely incredible. To where, like how you were talking about Lita, like, you know, Lita was doing stuff that you didn't expect. You didn't even see guys do.
Yeah.
I took it for granted. I forget if it even happened, but I was just like, all right, like when's Charlotte going to do her twisting moonsault off the top rope this year? And it's just like, Jesus Christ, like this girl's like 6'4", 6'5", doing a twisting moonsault off the top rope to the outside.
Yeah.
Had a banger of a match with Ronda Rousey, like legitimately hardcore, like incredible. Like she's putting it all on the line. Like she is like probably will go down with her dad as probably the best women's wrestler of all time.
Yeah. The only reason she was not on my list is because, and I think I did the same thing with the men's, I just didn't want to put a current. I think she has a bulk of her career ahead of her. I do agree with you that she's probably ends up as number 1 on this list by the time she retires.
Oh, yeah. That's like, I think she's done, and she's done it like as a wrestler, not as like, she's never in bra and panty match, any stupid stipulation match. She, as a wrestler, she just essentially in this demands respect when she's in the ring, and you get legitimate feuds. Like, even so, and like everything, like when Carmella took the title off her for Money in the Bank, I wasn't mad about it. Like, I wasn't mad about Carmella beating Charlotte because like the ways like she beat her, it made sense. It wasn't like they beat her in a bra and panties match or something like that, or like a
dance off.
Exactly, like not stupid stuff like that. Like legitimate storylines that help move it forward. And like when Rousey came in, I said Charlotte and Rousey needs to be the main event at WrestleMania, and there was reasons for that because Charlotte is the best.
Yeah.
Like,
the only reason it wasn't is because Becky caught lightning in a bottle. That's
exactly
all. That's the only reason it wasn't. And I know it pissed a lot of people off when Charlotte beat Asuka because you want the streak against Rousey.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but Asuka, even at being undefeated for 2 whole years,
would not
have been of the level of Charlotte and Rousey. And I think we were happy about that. After we put some thought to it, if you remember correctly. We were both kind of disappointed.
Well, I was surprised. I remember we were watching the Mania at my house. I was surprised. I was like, holy shit, they took Asuka's streak. But I said, I think even in that same night, I said, if it's anybody, it's Charlotte. Charlotte is the only one that could legitimately take that streak away from Asuka. And
because we had assumed Rousey was going to take the streak at the next WrestleMania. That's what we kind of were. We were guessing it was going to be Rousey Asuka at the next WrestleMania.
But then when Charlotte won, that's when I was switching to women's main event. Yeah. Like this makes but that's where. But when you say something like that, to where you have this Goldberg like undefeated streak, even better than Goldberg, and you see that was the best match of that WrestleMania, arguably. Yeah. I know people say the tag team match with Rousey and Angle what may be bad, but to me...
See, I can't call that the best match. That was the most surprising match. I think you can have it. I think Rousey, being what she was, just caught you off guard.
Exactly.
You expected her to be worse.
Yes. But what was I going to say? But Charlotte taking, like, it wasn't, oh, this is bullshit. There's no way that could happen. It's like, I'm surprised, but... You know what? If it's anybody, like she didn't lose. Like Asuka didn't lose to like a Carmella, even though she did lose to Carmella. Like after 2 months later, after the fact with the James Ellsworth interference. But you didn't lose her first match like that. You lost to Charlotte at WrestleMania, and it's just like, you know what? If she had to lose, that's the way to lose. Because it's actually even better than her losing to Rousey, because it's like. You're just giving it to Rousey. Like, that's all you were doing there. Is just, like, no way Rousey would, from a wrestling standpoint, beat an Asuka. Charlotte beating Asuka, within the realm of possibility, and it was great.
See, and I was looking at it for the next 2 years. You have Rousey beat Asuka, and then you build the Charlotte Rousey main event where Rousey still hasn't been beaten. She even beat Asuka, all this stuff, and Charlotte's been like fighting for a chance and not getting it, kind of thing. I agreed with you when Charlotte beat Asuka. It set up a main event between Rousey and Charlotte. But I thought they were going to be a couple years because Rousey had signed 2 years, apparently.
Yeah.
That was the rumor. And apparently, I think it's still the case. It sounds like she's only really leaving to start a family and with the intention of coming back. But you never know. You never know with stuff like that. She might enjoy the time away and not want to come back.
Yeah.
But, we're a good year away from seeing her again. So... I was looking at it as a 2-year build, but it made sense. I know we talked about it multiple times. You have Ric Flair's daughter that the casual non-watcher knows who Ric Flair is, and the casual non-watcher knows who Ronda Rousey is. So it was the only way to make that main event until, again, Becky caught lightning.
And the one thing with Charlotte, and like it sucks and it will always happen, but the way she's embraced it, I think, is really good, is that she's going to be in Ric Flair's shadow.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's embraced it enough that, yes, it's Ric Flair's daughter, we know that, but she kind of had, like, she's good. Like, it's not like
she's, I think she has grew past that at this point, where I view her as Ric Flair's daughter. I tell people that don't know wrestling it's Ric Flair's daughter, but when I see her come out, I don't view her as Ric Flair's daughter anymore. I view her as Charlotte, one of the best, if not the best, women's wrestler there is today.
And she earned that, for in my opinion, she earned that on her own, especially with those high expectations to live up to.
Yeah.
So that was mine. I was gonna just do a joking one and do Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, and Bailey, but that could be would that be the NXT one?
Or NXT. Okay, let's. All right, I have a personal one, but I actually
go ahead,
get off that because I like this because I'm going to come up with the NXT one right now off the top of my head. I would say the NXT one in my mind,
because you got to throw Paige in there. Because Paige
and NXT, there's 2 right away that I'm throwing in there, and one's still there. I think it's got to be Baszler and Asuka have to both be in there for NXT. I think you have to put them both in there. Baszler's the only 2-time champ, and she's been dominant, and Asuka was undefeated. So you can't. I think you can't do a Mount Rushmore without either one of them in NXT. So now.
But would Asuka, would that undefeated streak have mattered as much if it was before, it was right around the same time, or
she beat Bailey for the title, so it was right after it. It was right after the end of it.
Yes.
I think Becky does not go in the NXT Mount Rushmore.
She would be the one I would swap out for Paige.
I would probably do... If I was to do a 4, I would do Baszler, Asuka, Paige, Banks would probably be my 4. And it would be tough for me to leave Charlotte off, but I think Charlotte is more effective on the main roster than she was as a whole on the NXT. I felt like Sasha outshined Becky because of her character in NXT. Or Becky, Sasha outshined Charlotte a little bit because of her character in NXT, but I think they'd both be interchangeable. It's tough, and it's hard to leave Bailey off. That's actually a very tough one to kind of come up with, because I might leave Paige off. I feel like them 4 are interchangeable in the 2, and it's purely because I view Baszler as, I think she would have held up at that time with them down there. I think Asuka would have held up at that time with them down there.
When I look at Paige, Paige is the first, like on their first what was it? Their first
who was
Evolution.
it? It was
her and
Paige
Emma.
versus Emma. Oh
Yes.
my god, that's one of my favorite NXT matches.
And that's exactly what I go back to. That was the first. It was their first Evolution, or no? Was that Takeover? Their first Takeover. They weren't.
Yeah.
That was the first Takeover. It was the first women's match on there, and it was a great match. And you just saw all the potential that Paige had, and you saw her down there, and like she did so much. And like that's where like all those wrestlers like looking back at it, I'd probably go Paige, Asuka, Sasha, and Bayley.
Okay.
Like for right now, like
and I can
as much
understand leaving Baszler off
because Baszler, I don't think like yes, she's a 2-time champion, but I don't think she's had that connection or that like oh my god,
the problem is the women's division has been weaker when she's been there.
Yes,
and I think I think it's a downfall. And honestly, Asuka kind of had that a little bit too, where they had to almost leave Bayley there because they needed somebody to wrestle Asuka. Like the women's division kind of fell apart when when they lost the 4 horsewomen. But I think all 6 of them are deserving for the spot. You left off Charlotte and Baszler, and I left off Charlotte and Bayley. But I think all 6 of them, in some way, shape, or form, could be interchangeable in that NXT spot. And again, it's not a knock on Becky, and I know if we were to ask people, they'd probably put Becky on there, but she just wasn't. Her NXT career was not the same as the others.
No, her NXT career was like she had a couple good matches.
She was the Natalia of the NXT. She was the veteran that helped put helped.
She also wasn't down there for because when she came in. She came in. At least I don't remember. I don't remember a lot of Becky's. I know she had a good title match against Sasha. I think that was at one of the takeovers. I forget, or if that was just a Raw on TV. But there wasn't any impact there. You had Charlotte, who's just it was Charlotte at that point. So like she, because I remember who did she have a really? I think her and Paige had a banger of a match. No, she didn't. No. Her and Natty had a good match.
Yeah, that was when Rick and Brett were.
It was for the vacant NXT Championship because it was right after Paige surrendered it because she won the Raw champions, and that's where Paige, I believe, the only one to hold the both NXT and main roster title at the same time.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
I can't think anybody else who has.
So, but
is there any? A good one.
So, that was a good one. Very WWE centric conversation. Obviously.
Yeah. Well, let me very quickly because I did have 2 lists down. Okay. My personal 4, and I know it's very easy to say Baszler and stuff, but I'm not going to.
I'm assuming for you, Sable, Tori Wilson, Ashley Milano, and Maria Kanellis.
Yes.
Okay. There's a theme there for the for the cagey listeners.
Well, Trish is also on this list. I mean, I feel like she has to be.
Yeah.
I actually went AJ Lee.
Okay.
Purely because
out of place is the best way. Like she
headlined storylines with big name guy like in such a short amount of time because she was not there long.
No,
and in such a short amount of time that she was there, she was front and center and a lot. I mean, she was in that whole storyline with Daniel Bryan and John Cena and Kane. Remember, she would come out and skip around the ring, and she would just like kiss John Cena and then run off. And like, what the hell? Like she played that that psycho gimmick that has went to 1 out of every 7 females that come up. She played it to a T. And she used her abilities perfectly. And I know they gave her the CM Punk run prior to Paige winning.
But that's where, like, you bring up AJ Lee. That's not what I think of. I think of her feud with Caitlyn. Like, that was a feud that was out of time for the wrestling that it was. because they were both like it was the best story. Like it was a good storyline. They were both legitimately good wrestlers at the time. Like I think in today's standard, they would be mid-cardish for like their abilities, but they like AJ selling Caitlyn Spear like is one of the most painful things I've seen because of how she ragdolls it. It's just incredible. And that's why I say like out of time because like but then it also worked really well for AJ Lee's character when she dropped her quote unquote pipe bomb about the divas can't lace up her Chuck Taylors, which was brilliant, which would have never worked now because that was the truth at the time.
Right. And I think that's like she could talk on the mic. Her wrestling ability was not, at the level of some others, but she made work with what she had. It's funny that her and CM Punk are in a relationship because she almost kind of reminded you of that. CM Punk did what he could with his athletic ability he had.
Yeah.
And I felt like AJ Lee gave you 100% of what she could give you. And it was very noticeable. And she tried as hard as she possibly could to get by with what she did. And I felt like she was rewarded for that. And that's I just mean like she was very front and center. I remember a lot of her career, and I think if you were to look back, it wasn't a very long one.
No, it was only maybe 5 years. I don't know.
So that's the thing. If I'm remembering more about her career than a lot of other people who had twice as long to get over as she did. So there's that. I will go with Victoria next. She is my workhorse, my favorite workhorse in the women's division. I was always a fan of Victoria. I
seen her wrestle. Who did she wrestle? I think one of the guys from the Spirit Squad, Kenny from the Spirit Squad, at a House of Hardcore.
She's always, she's just always been. She is what Natty is today. She was always She wasn't like the top of the women's division, but she was always that.
What's her name? What's her name now?
I think it's her actual name.
Is it? What's her? I'm gonna look it up.
Okay. Well, then I'll move on to my number 4, who is
Lisa Marie Varon.
Yeah. My number 4 is currently married to, I guess technically current superstar, Michelle McCool. I was always a fan of Michelle McCool. The whole Lay Cool thing was always... She was another one that I felt like almost kind of single-handedly ran the women's division, Divas division, I guess, for a while. When women were not getting TV time, her and Layla were getting TV time.
Her appearance and she had the best performance in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And she looked good. She looked like she could still go.
Yeah, and that's I'd like to compare her wrestling ability to Trish a little bit. She and I guess even AJ in a little bit of a sense she did with what she could with what she had. And she made it look well, and she made it look good. There's other favorites. Maurice, I was a fan of, but Michelle McCool, I think, stood out in that era to me as almost the face of it to me at that time. She was a little bit of that face. So again, there were personal preferences. There's a lot of other women that are left off, but as far as a 4 go, if I were to pick my 4, those would be my 4. Of who I liked in different eras, I guess.
I don't have I don't know. I always liked I was always a fan of Beth Phoenix, I think. I always liked her and Natalia's throwback kind of look and gimmick when they were there.
Right.
I always felt they were also out of place. They great gimmick, wrong time.
Yeah.
Them as a tag team, I think they would be I wish they could change times and come back with these tag team titles. So they'd be a dominant tag team.
Right.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see them win the titles at WrestleMania and then drop them at the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, or the next night on Raw.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I don't think I could put together... Probably, like, my list would also maybe be my favorites, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, it's tough because I don't know that the 4 I even just said were my 4 favorites. There are 4 that I liked that I also felt like were very helpful to the women's division. From me watching growing up, because I see a little bit of Alundra Blaze and Medusa, but not a whole lot. She's a little bit too early for me. China did stuff that other women couldn't do, but I don't know that she did enough for women's wrestling, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? In my point of view, is my personal opinion. I do think she deserves to be up there. I'm saying, in my personal opinion, she went above women's wrestling.
Yes.
You know, if that makes sense. And that's why she does deserve to be on there. But on my personal list, she went above women's wrestling. And Lita, I liked, but I didn't love, if it makes sense. Because she was limited on the mic.
Lita would definitely be up there for me, I think, just because like she did flippy stuff, and it's just like
that's your go-to. Where
exactly.
It's not necessarily mine. And we've seen that with the men's. I'm a little bit more ring technician submission. You know, I went with Kurt Angle, Ken Shamrock, like those type of. They've been my favorites over
Bret
the
Hart or
years.
Shawn Michaels.
Bret Hart.
Exactly. That I think that I would pick Shawn Michaels.
I don't know that I pick any era Shawn Michaels, to be honest with you.
Oh.
I don't know that I do. I respect what it's the same thing as Lita right there. I respect what Shawn Michaels is. I can acknowledge where he is in the history, but like I view the Jericho Shawn Michaels that great feud they had at the end of their career as Jericho. I just view it that way because I view a lot of Shawn Michaels' greatest WrestleMania moments is not just because of Shawn Michaels, and if not, it might be a little bit more the other guy. I think he got put into situations where the other guy did just as much work, where he didn't. And that's just my point of view on Shawn Michaels as a whole.
We might have found a new topic at some point.
Yeah.
Honestly, though,
for any huge fan of Shawn Michaels, and I have no problem with doing this because it's just it's a point of view I have on Shawn Michaels. I don't know.
I want to have this.
Look back at his past.
I want to have this, but I also don't want to talk about it at like 7:00 in the morning.
Okay, we'll find a good time to do this. I think this might even be a type of episode that we can get somebody like Roy on or something. You know, one of our guests that have an understanding of Shawn Michaels' career that may want to join this. But I have no problem debating me and you on this because I know I felt like I touched a nerve a little bit by saying stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah, it was just unexpected. I was just like...
I'm not saying it...
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. You're just not a fan of any...
carried. I think maybe he's given a little bit too much credit. A little bit.
You're saying he didn't deserve all those sunny days?
Yes. Well,
okay.
That he did. Because as you can see Sonny now,
oh man,
makes a whole lot more sense.
Not touching that one. Alrighty. So, anything else you want to top off this conversation with?
Shawn Michaels has long hair. We're talking about women. See, there's the transition.
Yeah, no, that's terrible.
No, I mean, I feel like we touched on the best women.
Yeah. I feel bad that I can't comment on, like, so I didn't really watch Alundra Blaze Medusa wrestle. I didn't include, like, Mae Young. I might have included, but Fabulous.
That's what I mean. Yeah, we didn't really see them. Even Alundra Blaze is like when we were like 5, 6, 7 years old, if not earlier than that.
Like in theory, Fabulous Moolah should be on this list, but like but that's where it's like the reasons why I would want to, similar reasons why I would want to take Hogan off my list because of how terrible of a person they were, and it's just you don't want to.
Like,
and
we didn't have Bruno Sammartino on our list. Well, you know what I mean? Like we left certain guys like that off because we didn't see them. They're before our time.
True. But then even so, like the great independent scene of women's wrestlers. Like I know Tessa Blanchard.
I actually expected to get into that. I don't know how much time you have, but we could probably get into it a little bit. If you had to pick a 4 of non-WWE,
I couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it because you couldn't name 4?
I could name 4, but I don't know the works. I could name 4, like Tessa Blanchard, Britt Baker, see Chelsea Green's now in there. Like all these ones that I have a somewhat relation to already from my, I guess, men's knowledge that I don't know enough to comment on it. I
agree. I have 2, and then everybody else is kind of jumbled. I've been a fan of Jordynne Grace and Tessa Blanchard, and then once you get past that, then they're all kind of in one big bowl to me because I've seen one of them wrestle once. I've seen a half of the other one's match. I've heard about this person, but I haven't seen them really wrestle. So it's almost unfair to kind of go across the list.
I feel bad that I can't comment on it, but like it's I don't have enough information there to like be able to like give actual like a good reasoning or anything like that. Right. And Tessa Blanchard, I've only seen Tessa Blanchard is probably the one that I've probably seen the most wrestle, and that I've maybe seen like 2 or 3 matches.
And I've watched a lot of her old stuff because I was writing an article for We Podcast and We Know Things at the time, and then they kind of stopped doing articles on their website. But I was writing an article about the best under 25 and under non-WWE wrestlers.
Okay.
So I was watching a lot of Tessa Blanchard. At the time, I was at 28 and then I moved to 25, but I watched a lot of Tessa Blanchard, Jordynne Grace, and then there was a lot of the men that I was watching matches just to kind of rank them because I know I didn't know enough about them. But so I've seen a little bit more purely because I was just sitting at work watching matches.
Yeah.
And she is as impressive as obviously we as you hear from at least and I still haven't seen a whole lot, but I think I've seen more than you.
Probably.
But yeah, you can add a certain somebody to the list that we may or may not be speaking to in the future. I spoke to Rob.
Oh, okay.
It may or may not, but he seemed like he thinks that could be a strong possibility, so that could be an episode in the future. Along with another one I'm excited for that I'm not going to say anything because that could still be a couple of months out, but it will definitely happen. I will make sure that happens. Well, I think we've been talking about this now for 6 months, but that's mostly my fault for not following up. I'm making that happen. Whether it's in person, on the phone, I don't care. It's happening.
Yeah, I got nothing. I'm making nothing happen. I just show up now. I'm the new Peachy.
Yeah, it's okay. I feel like once the floodgates open, they'll open.
Yes.
And I still have not played Book It, the pro wrestling promoter card game.
Oh, I haven't. I haven't played mine either, and I'm annoyed about it because I spent $100 on it, and I'm like, I should have bought another fucking board game because I'm never going to play this one.
I was going to throw a promotion out here for the only person we have interviewed so far, Paul Laporte, and it is for sale. You can go out there and get it. I'm not exactly sure. I probably should have been a little bit prepared for this, but Google it, book it. It seems like an awesome game, and I can't wait to play it. But I can't speak on a whole lot because I haven't played it yet. But I do know that he was taking. He got all the Kickstarter deliveries fulfilled, and they were selling
Yeah, that's what I'm pulling it up now for.
So
you can get it for $39.99 off foamhammergames.com.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah,
I forget what mine's even called. Is it anywhere invisible side of me that I could?
Well, I'm trying to promote the person that actually came onto our show, and not some random game that you bought at
PAX.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm sure we'll be doing an episode in the future on that. But I'm excited about your reaction with this Shawn Michaels thing. So that's what I'm.
That's just an interesting take. I've never been a fan of Shawn Michaels ever. I know where you're coming from. You respect what he did, all that, blah, yada, yada, yada. But, like, just, wow. Like, alrighty. And even the comment that, you know, he's Mr. WrestleMania, but, like, yeah, that's
we'll go over this. We will go over the history of his career. Alrighty. Okay? And who knows, maybe I'll go over it and maybe seeing it all at once will change my opinion. I don't think it will. But maybe going down the list, maybe I will sway one way or the other. But we'll see. Yes. That's a future episode right there, and that is something I'm excited to get in with you, because I could tell it hurts your soul right now. That my opinion is even there.
It's not that it hurts. I'm just confused.
Well, we'll see. You're confused. It's coming out of me and not Peachy. Is that?
I'd be confused if it's coming out of Peachy, because it means he'd be here for an episode, and that I'd be like, wait a minute, when did you get here?
And then you'd actually, you know what? You'd probably be confused because you're like, where is this coming from?
Funny story.
Funny story. I do think you think there's a legit reason I have. You're just curious what that reason is.
Funny story. So, me and Peachy, I actually wanted to wait to tell this for the podcast. Me and Peachy we're taking the train up to Madison Square Garden for the G1 Supercard. And we're just we're obviously bullshitting wrestling, and somehow it comes up or something like that. He's like, yeah, the AEW, if it takes off, they're talking about, doing like a off season, or like, the wrestlers taking some time off and things like that. And he's like, what do you think? How do you think that would work? I'm like, Pete, you listen to the podcast? He's like, no. I'm like, yeah, we did a whole episode on this.
I loved it when I did see that rumor, and I'm thinking, we just talked about this.
Well, I laughed that Peachy asked me about it, and I'm like, hey, you know that
you want to know my opinion? How about you listen to the podcast that you're technically a part of?
I chuckled at that one. That was pretty funny.
That is good.
So, all right, I got nothing else. I want to go back to bed.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I thank everybody who responded. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go into the list. I thought we were going to need a little bit more filler time, but I thank everybody who has responded in the Facebook groups in less than 5 hours when I posted it, because I was very prepared for this by trying to get responses, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of them. That's a lot of the normal people, There's a lot of Mae Young, Fabulous Moolah, Trish Stratus, Charlotte. You get a lot of same. There's Gail Kim is on there a lot.
Gail Kim was one that I was thinking of that, like, underappreciated by me, definitely for sure, but is one out there that is really. She's the first, believe the first women induction into the TNA's or Impact's. Hall
Victoria of Fame. Took her spot in mine. I wanted an underappreciated person on there.
Yeah.
And I just was always a bigger fan of Victoria than Gail Kim. That's how Gail Kim kind of got knocked off my personal list. But she was definitely in the running on my list.
Yep. So. Alrighty, we got anything else? We good to sign off?
No. That was a wonderful, wonderful episode 56.
Yes. Wait, is it 56? I thought we were on 57.
Are we on 57?
No, that was 56.
No, I think you. I think when you did the title for the last episode, you put 56.
No, sorry.
And then I had to go in there and switch it because it jumped from 54 to 56.
Well, that'd be the secret episode that we lost the recording for.
Yeah, we did not lose the whole recording.
No.
My recording still exists. It's the responses that you gave to me that.
Yeah, technical difficulties, everyone. So, alrighty, that's all I got. So, want to thank everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. Next week might be the Shawn Michaels episode. It might not be. I don't know. But enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good one, and catch you later, guys.